This mix was sent in by Omar.
Used to hang around with the greatest crowds. Used to party before 10 o'clock would roll. Around parties on blocks with the tallest gates. Only smoke outside came from the warmest place.
All right, Omar, you specifically asked how to make the track brighter. It really sounds like you just cut a bunch of top end out of everything except the vocals. Like, the guitars have been completely gutted. Like, you've completely over EQ'd the guitars. The cymbals, it feels like you took a lot of top end out of the cymbals too. Maybe they were feeling a little harsh to you when you're trying to fix that. But like, really, all the top end EQ you've done on the instruments, especially the guitars and the drums and the cymbals, like, I would just take off all those top end moves, because it really feels like you've cut a ton of top end out of all of them, and that's why the track isn't bright.
It was just another Sunday, nothing out of the ordinary. I'm out looking for Christian, but he didn't show. Pretending that he'll be here soon, acting chill, but knowing deep down I'm really here, all alone. Had to break free from my chains, always losing in your games.
You also have balance issues. Like, the guitar is just really loud overall. So are the vocals, but basically the bass and the drums are way too far in the background, and you're going to get a lot more top end from the drums. So if you bring the drums up, then that's going to help a lot with the overall top end balance. But again, it really feels like you cut out a bunch of top end frequencies. And the guitar, you didn't just cut out top end. It sounds like you completely gutted the guitar sound. Like, whatever EQ you have on the guitar, I would just take that off entirely. And whatever top end EQ you have going on the drums and the cymbals, I would take that off too. Because if you want more top end, that's really where the problem is. It sounds like you've cut a bunch out. Now, if you haven't cut a bunch of top end, and this is just what the raw tracks sound like, then in that case, I would say that you're probably working with broken equipment. Like, if that was the raw sound from the microphones on the drums or the guitar, if you're really missing that much top end, you have something else going on the way into the box that's causing you problems. This mix was sent in by Joe. All right, Joe, you were asking about the low end and how to make things punchier in general. Like, first, one of the biggest problems is you just have an overwhelming amount of sub-frequencies in the kick drum, and it's just getting completely muddy. You need to tighten that up. First of all, I would cut some of the subs out of the kick drum, but also with compression, you can tighten up that kick drum sound a lot. But like, with the extra boominess you're getting from the kick drum, that's why your track doesn't have any punch. It's just causing this like wall of low end rather than, you know, consistent pumps of low end every time the kick hits. That's what's going to make things punchy, is when on the kick hits, you get more low end all of a sudden. When you have like that sustaining sub frequency, it completely removes any opportunity for punch to happen. It also feels like you cut a lot of top end out of everything, especially the guitar tone. It's like surprisingly low end focused. Like, you have a pretty decent mid-range sound, but it sounds like you cut all of the top end out of the guitar. Like, you still need that top end there to some extent. Then combine that with the fact that the guitars are actually even a little too low in volume. Those could come up a little bit. And the kick is definitely too loud in volume. Those couple things combined is what's causing you to have a complete lack of punch in this track. Yeah, dude, you just have like a ridiculous amount of 60 hertz in this. And then it like quickly drops off, and then it's really, really low above 200 from there on. Like, everything needs to be a lot more balanced out. Like, yeah, you should still have a little bit more low end, but not as much more low end as you do right now. All right, let's try to mess with this a little bit. mix was sent in by Trevor. Trevor, I can already tell by looking at the waveform, this is way too quiet, so I'm going to turn it up a little bit.
Cigarette, come get your money. I'm trying so hard to get myself free.
Alright, so in the intro I thought it was kind of a cool vibe. Like, it definitely doesn't sound like a pristine recording or a pristine mix, but that's okay if it has a vibe, and you definitely achieve that here. One thing I am noticing is everything is like entirely mono. You might have like a tiny bit of delay or reverb on stuff that's panned out, but for the most part, this whole track is right up the middle. I just think it would feel a lot better overall if you had double tracked that guitar and panned it wide, especially with the weird vibe you have going here. I feel like double tracking that guitar and panning one left and one right would really give you more of a feeling of being engulfed by the song. Now, you asked about the vocals. I feel like the vocals don't quite fit the sound of the song. They're definitely a little too loud. Like, you could definitely turn the volume of the vocals down a tiny bit so it'll blend a little bit better with everything else. It feels like you could have cleaned the vocals up a little more. They feel like they stick out in kind of a weird way. Again, none of this really sounds like a pristine recording, but it has a vibe. But I feel like the vocals right now aren't really fitting the vibe. I would have EQ'd them a little bit better, cleaned them up a little bit, probably added a little bit of compression, a little bit more top end, some kind of time effects, like a little bit of delay or reverb, just to make them like feel like they fit the song more, because right now they just don't.
My lonesome days have really taken their toll. I'm feeling as if there's nowhere else to go. But you'll be there just when I need you. You'll be there just when I'm feeling blue.
Also, your guitar's out of tune. It kind of works with the vibe, but it's just annoying enough that I noticed it.
You're the one that gets me through the day. You pick me up and make me feel okay. Cigarette, what can you do for her? I'm biting my nails, she's getting on my nerves. How could I be so fooled again? But she's the one that gets my heart racing. But you'll be there just when I need you.
So overall, I've said this a couple times already, but just it's not a pristine recording, but it has a vibe to it, and I'm really liking the vibe. Like, I see the vision for it. I just think it wasn't executed as well as it could be. Really, if you took this as a demo and then brought it to a producer, like someone that can actually work with you and build this up into what I think it could be, I think you could end up with something really, really cool, something really, really unique. But where it's at right now, at best, it sounds like demo quality. It sounds like it's just not quite there. Like I said, I can definitely see the vision for it. It's just not quite there. So I think if you found somebody to work with in a production capacity, this could come out a lot better. This mix was sent in by Thomas. Alright, the guitar sounds interesting in the beginning. It doesn't necessarily sound bad. It sounds like you just intentionally wanted it to sound far away for the intro, which is fine. It could be cool. My only issue is I can see in the waveform that it's going to be exactly like this without much variation for like almost a full minute. So I'm going to skip ahead to where something actually happens and things get interesting, hopefully. Alright, couple things. You had like a really long guitar intro, and then you had another guitar intro before everything started. Like, you should just go right into where the drums come in from there. Now, I know you sent another track in a little while ago that had some serious phase problems. Those phase problems are no longer present, so that's good. What I am noticing, though, is everything is super, super mono. You have literally everything, every individual piece of the drum set, everything is panned right up the middle, with the exception of the reverb and the delay that you've added to the guitar. That's in stereo, that's spreading out a bit, but other than that, everything else is right up the middle. Like, you need to utilize the stereo field. You need to pan things out out a little bit because everything right up the middle is fucking boring. It doesn't sound right. Like, no music that we listen to is entirely mono. Even with the time effects panned out to the side, like, it sounds weird. It doesn't sound full. It doesn't sound like a good production. It sounds super amateur as a result. You need to pan things out. Double track your guitar, pan one left, pan one right. That alone will help a lot. But then also pan out the overheads, pan out the toms a little bit. Like, have different things sitting in different places in the stereo field to fill it up. Okay, so I don't like the drum sound. The drum recording sounds really, really amateur. It sounds like it was done in a really shitty room. That's not great. Like, for sure, the drum sound needs a lot of work. The guitar tone, however, the guitar tone's not too bad. That being said, once we get into everything with the drums and everything, I would have dialed back the time effects a lot. The delay and the reverb was really cool in the intro. It sounded good with the guitar in the intro. But at this point, I would definitely dial those time effects back and get the guitar just a little bit more in your face. Just like the last critique I did, I can see the vision that you had for this. I think as a demo, this would be okay as a demo. But really, in order to get this to where it should be, to where I think you really want it to be, you probably need to work with somebody that knows what they're doing in a production capacity. Find a producer, not just an engineer, not someone that's just going to hit record. Find a producer, someone that can help you arrange the song, someone who can show you, you know, what you need to double track, where things should be panned, like really flesh this thing out. Because again, it seems like a cool vibe. It seems like it could have potential, but with where it's at now, it only sounds like a demo. So I know in these videos we're really focused on the mixing process, but the root cause of a lot of the problems we run into here are really based in the recording side of things and not in the mixing side of things. The mix is only ever going to be as good as the source recorded tracks allow them to be. If you get a better source recording, the better your mixes will be every single time. And it's for that reason that I put together my home recording cheat sheet. This is a free guide that helps you get better recordings on your own at home. I just updated it for 2025. I added a bunch of helpful diagrams, I added some bonus tips, and I made some changes to some old tips to update them for where things are now. If you want to check that out, you can find a link to it in the description below, and I really hope it's helpful for you.